experience of watching at home, I think, you know, you're watching in a room, the lights are on, other shit's going on, the kids are running around, the dogs are running around, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's just a very different level of attention that you're willing to, or that you're able to give to it. And that has a big effect. And it also ends up having an effect, or is starting to have an effect on how you make movies. Like, for instance, Netflix, you know, the standard way to make an action movie that we learned was, you know, you usually have like 3 set pieces, one in the first act, one in the second, and one in the third, and you know, they kind of ramp up, and the big one with all the explosions, and you spend most of your money on that one in the third act. That's your kind of finale. And now they're like, can we get a big one in the first 5 minutes to get somebody? You know, we want people to stay tuned in, and you know, it wouldn't be terrible if you reiterated the plot 3 or 4 times in the dialogue, because people are on their phones while they're watching, you know what I mean?
Oh, no.
And so then it's going to really start to infringe on how we're telling the
but
story.
then you look at Adolescence, it didn't do any of that.
It didn't do
shit.
any of that.
And it's fucking great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's dark, too. It's tragic and intense. It's like guy who finds out these kids accused of murder, and it's like, you know, and there's long shots in the back of their head. They get in the car, nobody says anything. I think there are those... Look, these
I wish that were.
Like,
that feels more like the exception.
You know?
It's so masterfully made that it feels a little more like the exception. I hope it's not.
My feeling is just that it demonstrates that you don't need to do any of that shit to get people. You know what I mean? Like, and I think, you know, yes. You know, like, look, hey, the town had the action thing in the beginning, the first 5 minutes, because you know what I mean. Like, it's a common trick that you would go like, let me grab them and get them invested in. It's like the movies that start with the hero hanging from the cliff, and you know, we're gonna flash back to the beginning and tell you how they got there. You know, I always feel like you know, complaining about it makes me feel like one of these guys was like, when I was a boy, like you always want to freeze the culture at the time when you. I don't know, felt more like, you know, we didn't used to have these phones. The fuck are all these phones? And everybody's looking at their phone. I get it. Yes, it's true. Also, it's like supply and demand. People want to look at their phone. They can look at TikTok. They want, you know, they're going to do that. I think what you can do is make shit the best you can. Make it really good. And, you know, people can still go to the movies. Not like, I think we have this idea that's like an existential threat. Everything that comes along is going to destroy everything. Instead of like... What history suggests is that there's like marginal encroachments, things shift. Yep, as television came along, there was less theater going, and that's still going to happen. And people are still going to go to the movies because of what you said. Like, it feels like a cool thing to do. I'm going to go see The Odyssey, I guarantee you, in a theater, you know, no matter what. Fewer of them, and you could argue that's because I have more choice or whatever it is. It's hard to fight supply and demand. That's the trick, right? If people want to watch a bunch of stuff at home because they invested in TVs and cost us money, they will. So, okay. But the upside of that is, like, I can try to do something, hopefully that's like, that actually doesn't need to, you know, have the most urgency to get you to come to the theater with your family. That's a little more experimental or risk-taking or whatever in that way.
Well, you got to adapt. I mean, there's no way you're going to change people's viewing habits now.
No.
I mean, what percentage of Netflix is actually watched on phones? It's got to be pretty high, which is insane.
Yeah.
Even watching on a laptop, for me, is kind of like... Kind of sucks, you know?
It sucks. Yeah,
that's a joke that I like to make with every director I work with. Like when they're really puzzling over a shot or really grinding out something, I go, you know, it's not going to look as good on the phone. When just everyone gets angry.
It takes the wind out of their fucking sails, you know? No, that's going to look great this fucking big. But keep fucking around and lighting that. We'll also, you know.
It is weird, though, the concern for the algorithm, like making sure that people watch. Like, look, we've got data that shows within the first 5 minutes, when this happens, they tune out. So it's not like my buddy Tony Hinchcliffe, you know, he's got Kill Tony, and now it's on Netflix, and so they're giving him notes now, and they can give him, like, but they're not telling him what to do, but they're saying, like, this is when people are tuning out. And so let's, you know, just so you have that data, now decide how you want to edit things. It's like, oh.
Yeah,
slippery
which is
slope.
It moved towards more IP, and
because it was hard to get people to come to the movies. Everyone got scared and thought, well, it has to be a sequel or a superhero movie.
And so an interesting little movie, kind of in the '90s when we kind of came onto the scene. You know, there were a lot of really good independent movies that were being made. There was, you know, it was a really great time to be making movies. People were making daring movies, and then everyone just got way more conservative because it's huge. Like the business is so different theatrically and streaming, because to put out a movie theatrically, you have to put so much more money behind it. to publicize. Like you're trying to get
You're
everybody
basically spending about what the budget was to make it to advertise it.
Because
and
you
get
got
50% of the theatrical.
Yeah, because you split it with the movie house, right? The exhibitor.
So $25 million movie to break even, you got to make $100 million.
And you got to get everybody to not only know about the movie, but to show up like that Friday night, like that specific time, for that specific movie, and to cut through all the noise that people are contending with, and
so it just becomes about risk, and nobody wants to take the risk, so they don't want to make something new because it's such an investment, and we're going to lose our fucking money. And the streamers have stepped into that, and no, you didn't have to necessarily have a star. You could try something more interesting, or didn't have to be a superhero movie, whatever it was. And also, I think it's frankly, like people my age, it's first of all, it's expensive, right? You take your whole family, it's $100. You're on a streaming service, $20 a month. You can watch all you want, so you can't be cavalier about you're just going to price it however the fuck you want and expect everyone to be indifferent to that. And then also, the idea of for me, there's a lot of stuff. I make that decision. Do I want to see The Odyssey on a big screen? Fucking I went to a theater to just watch the trailer for that movie. And did I one battle after another I wanted to go see in the theater. But there's movies of people that I really like and respect where and I got a good system and shit. But I'm look, I'll watch it and I might get tired, or I want to pause it and take a piss, or the kids, whatever it is. That's conducive to my lifestyle, and so
and most people's
I even
lifestyle.
see few. I think most people are, but there